Now you chilling with the nicest, the flyest, Defynest Podcast.
Not gonna lie, man. I'm a little nervous right now. Man. It's been a while since I've done one of these. Over a year? Yeah, easily over a year. Probably like a year. August, May, June, July, 3 months, a year and 3 months since I've done the podcast. Yeah, man, I guess it's not really important let me just get into it a little bit. I'll keep it short. The reason I stopped the podcast last year was because I hurt my neck. I ended up herniating a disc in my neck, and then so that caused the whole issue, and then that kind of snowballed into some other stuff, and my health was just like, it was shit, man. It was shit. So yeah, man, I kind of forced myself to step back, take some time off, having no podcasts. I haven't even been on social media this entire time, so took a break off from that too, and just, yeah, man, I just needed some time to focus on my health. I might sound a little funny because I ended up needing a tooth removed. That was a whole ordeal, and yeah, it still hasn't the removal. It still hasn't really healed completely. Like I can still feel it, and it's like right there. And then so sometimes, if you hear like I'm lisping a little bit, it's because of my tooth removal surgery, whatever the hell it's called. I don't even know, man. But yeah, it was finally time to get back on this, and man, this was something I had planned to do for a while, but it was kind of put. Yeah, actually, you know what? I don't know if this has been it's sped up or slowed down. My whole return, because I'm not sure. I was working up to this. It was gonna be sometime soon, but yeah, man. Right now, the reason I came back to do this podcast is, man, I'm just going to talk about one of the most recent things I've been dealing with, and that is that my dad passed away on July 29th, 2020. So I'm recording this episode. It is August 21st, 22nd. Let me check the calendar. Hold on. 21st. All right, it's August 21st. It's August 21st, man, 2020. So it's been about like 3 weeks since my dad died. And yeah, man, I'm going to talk about that in this episode, man, just everything involved with that. Get a little graphic. So there's a warning, if you don't want to hear some stuff I'm going to talk about, man, it's going to get graphic. And I'm just going to give it, the real details about everything, and just talk about little stuff. From here on out, I plan to, one of the things, man, mine's all over the place right now, but that's nothing new. I was just thinking about like just some, just details about the podcast. I want to keep it shorter. I want to keep the episodes less than an hour. I don't know, like hour max, but yeah, man, this episode, I really just wanted to focus on just my dad and my dad passing away. Yeah, man. So yeah, it happened July 29th. So about 3 weeks out, and stuff is barely starting to calm down a little bit for me. I just finished up taking care of the formalities, what happened, all this other stuff, man. But yeah, I'm gonna start off by, telling the story of how it all happened, man. How it all happened. So my dad was 81 years old. He was older, so I knew this day was going to come eventually. And mentally, I had already prepared for it for a while, man. Because I saw him getting older. And yeah, man, we're all going to die someday. So, and to me, what gave me even more clarity or more, insight into, me having to eventually deal with this death, my dad's death, is, having to come to the own reality of my own death because of my health conditions, so, and having to have dealt with that, on multiple occasions, where I talked about in previous episodes, man, where I literally thought I was going to die. And I don't remember how many times it's been, I've lost count. So, all those times just made me realize, damn, my dad's going to die. So eventually. So yeah, man, I tried to prepare for it as best as I could mentally. I didn't think it was I didn't expect it to happen on July 29th, but it did. And yeah, man. So let me get into the details, and here's where it's gonna get like a little gruesome. So that's your warning right now. If you don't want to hear the graphic details, then you might want to skip some of those parts. But yeah, it was and just like any other day. And I was going to all right, so it was about like 9, 10 at night. And then so around like 9:15, I always go to pick up my mom from work. And so yeah, man, and my dad always comes with me. We would always go together to pick up my mom. So it was about 9:10 at night when I'm leaving my house and walking over to my parents' house. So we live right next to each other, so it's basically not even like 100 feet probably from my door to my parents' door. So yeah, man, so I was leaving the house, closed the door, and right away I knew something was weird. Something was off. It was just strange, man, because by this time usually, I could see like my dad, has like the front door has a glass door and then the actual door behind it. So like glass screen door. Usually, the glass door, the glass door is always closed, but the back door at night is usually closed too. And he usually has like a light on in the living room. So right away, once I was walking towards the door, I was like, "Oh, look, that's strange." I was like, the back door is open, like I could see inside, and then noticed something else. Like the light in the living room isn't on either. I was like, that's a little weird. And then I was thinking this as I was walking up, but I was like, oh, that's strange because, my dad was like, he was meticulous with his routines, man. Everything was always, the same. Everything, had its order. Everything, he liked his routines, man. So, just seeing that, I already knew something was off. Something was wrong. Something was strange. Something was strange, man. So, I get to the door, I walk in and it was weird because, no lights on. That was automatically strange. And then so, he's usually in his bedroom, watching TV at this time, So I walk to the bedroom and, I see that not even like the bedroom lights were on, but what I could tell is his bathroom light was on. And that was weird too. It was just his bathroom light, the bathroom light. And then also, my parents have this ottoman that's right next to their bed. And like I could see that he was like sitting down on the bed, and I was like, oh, "What's he doing? Just sitting down?" I was like, "Man," I was like, just sitting right there. I was like, usually, he's just laying in bed or whatever, and he's not sitting down in bed. And then I was like, "Oh man, I mean, he's always ready to go. By the time I get there, I get to the house, he's ready to go pick up mom." So, yeah, man, I was like, that's a little weird. And then, yeah, man, and so I'm walking towards the bedroom, and I was like, yeah, I could tell like his feet, I could just see his feet, like basically just from like the knees down. Basically, that's all I see. And then I was like, that's strange. I was like, he's not moving. I was like, not in the fact that I was expecting him like to hear me come in and, I'm walking in and then he hear my footsteps. And then I was like, oh, he'll get up because he knows it's time to go get mom. But yeah, he wasn't moving. And I was like, oh, that's weird. I was expecting him to stand up. Then I actually finally get to the bedroom. And yeah, man, right when I walked in, looked at him, I was like, oh, yeah, he's dead. That was like the first thought that popped in my mind. I was like, oh, he's dead. And I knew it right away, man. And so, but me, I go into like automatic mode. So it's just like, all right, like whenever there's a situation, whenever there's a problem, I was like, okay, I was like, okay, what do I have to do? And then, automatically like, all right, it clicks in and then I just go. All right. So I see him. I was like, oh man, see him. I realized that thought goes in my head. I was like, all right, man, I gotta call 911, man. And then so, yeah, I go out, man. I call 911. I was like, man, I need they ask you basically, if you're what type of emergency. I was like, man, I need paramedics to my house because I think my dad has died. And then they asked me like, all right, I don't know why I did a little exciting in there. There was no, like my voice went like higher. But yeah, it's the operator went like, okay, why do you think your dad's dead? I was like, by this time, I had already, walked up to him, felt for a pulse, even though, I didn't even describe it. Like, what he was is, man, like he was sitting down on the ottoman and he had laid back like onto the bed, and then so he was just passed out with his arms stretched out, his eyes were rolled back, and he was foaming at the mouth, man. And then so yeah, I was like, that I automatically knew he was dead. And so but still need paramedic, tell them I need paramedics. The operator tells me, if I think it's probably if, do you think it's necessary if I did CPR? The operator asked me, do you think it's necessary? I mean, if he's dead, then not even try. I was like, I'm gonna try. I was like, I'm gonna try to do this, because I'm my dad. I'm gonna try whatever I can. I was like, so the operator tells me like I have to get him on the floor. I had to put him on the floor, and then you could start, the CPR. And yeah, man. So yeah, I picked him up, laid him on the floor, started doing CPR, which is weird because that's not weird. What is weird is that the operator was like, all right, like, when you do CPR, you do the hands one on top of each other, and then you get the right at the chest, like right here, and you start pumping. And, I already kind of knew how to do that. So the thing that was weird was that the operator told me that, you have to do it to like, you have to do it to like a rhythm. It has to be like at a certain rhythm and stuff like that. So she was counting it, like she wanted me to count out, out loud with her, like 1, 2, 3, 4. She wanted me to count it out and say that, and then just while I'm doing every time I count, I do the chest compressions. So yeah, man, which I found extremely difficult to do, man. Like I'm over here just concentrating on actually doing the compressions and having to count out out loud at the same time. Oh man, I couldn't do it. Like I was like, all right, so like my counts were off, but I was doing it at the right, like I was doing the compressions like on time, but I was just saying it out loud, like off. And the operator kind of got on me. She kind of yelled at me like, no, you're off. You got to do it, exactly at the same time. I was like, look, man, I'm doing it at the right time. I'm just saying it off. I find this extremely difficult to do. I don't know if this is the ADD or whatever, but yeah, I was like, let me just concentrate on doing the compressions. I was like, but she wanted me to count out loud at the same time with her. And I was like, oh man, look, I'm doing it. Look, I'm doing this. I'm telling you, I'm on time. I was like, I'm doing it on time. Don't worry. I was like, but I'm just saying it off, just because I was just hard for me. But I kept doing it. But yeah, man. So like paramedics on the way, the paramedics were on the way or whatever. So, yeah, man. So I walked to my parents' house. I got to my parents' house around like 9:10. Man, it wasn't until 9:30 until the paramedics showed up to my house. So for 20 minutes, the 20 minutes in between, yeah, I was doing the chest compressions on my dad. So yeah, man, it was those 20 minutes felt extremely long. And yeah, man, the only reason I knew it was 9:30 or like uh the only reason I remember it was 9:30 when they got there is because when they got there, it was the first, it was like, all right, they get there like, all right, well, you could stop doing the chest compressions, and then they started asking me questions, and that's like, look, man, I gotta call my mom because I was supposed to go pick her up like right now. Like she gets off work at 9:30. I'm supposed to be there at 9:30. So that's why it sticks out, and that's why I remembered it. But yeah, man, when the paramedics got there, it was just a couple questions. How'd I find them? How'd he get to the ground? I was like, I told him, how he was, how, I'm just skipping over details, man. I'll just go back. So yeah, I had mentioned that, he was passed out, foaming at the mouth. Well, a little detail that kind of fits into the story is, while I'm doing the chest compressions, yeah, he starts foaming out the mouth even more. So basically, yeah. Look, I'm saying this not, because I want to be graphic with it. I'm saying this more as just I just want to give like a little, insight into my experiences while, dealing with all this. And so yeah, man. So that's why, it's kind of, just, if I could share these details, and maybe if, it helps prepare somebody else, for when a situation like that might occur, then I think it's beneficial. And just just trying to, man, just tell you the truth and exactly what happened, man. So yeah, every time I would do chest compressions, you start foaming at the mouth anymore. The operator, would tell me, okay, I tell you this, I'll tell her, he's foaming at the mouth more. She would tell me, all right, well, put him on his side, clean out his mouth and clean out his nose, and then start up doing the chest compressions again. So, I repeat that because, that's what I told the paramedics and all this other stuff. I'm just repeating that whole process, and man, when the paramedics got there and they asked me the questions, how it goes down, man, they checked for his pulse, and, really, let's check his pulse, and, they asked, like, how, they asked like when was the last time you saw him, all this other stuff. And the last time I saw him was at 5 o'clock that day. That day at 5 o'clock I saw him, and it was just the normal conversation that we had, man. Usually like during the day I would always go in and kind of like just pop in, check on him, see how he's doing, just say hi for a little bit, talk to him for a little while. And I would do this just regularly throughout the day. And this day it was just like any other day, man. It was like 5 o'clock. What we talked about was talking about mom. Cause mom had just called him to let mom just called him to let him know that she was gonna get out of work at 9:30 and to pick her up at this one little spot or whatever. Like, okay, cool, that's fine. The usual basically. And I was like, all right. And then like, all right, cool, we'll go pick her up that day. I mean, just normal stuff or whatever. And I was like, all right, cool. And then one thing, that I always did was every time I saw him, I would always give him a hug. And that was just something because, I started doing that when I realized, when that, like how I was talking earlier, man, that I realized his death was coming soon. And then so one thing I always did is just like always gave him a hug every time I saw him, I'd always pop in during the day, check on him. He's usually always outside, and he hated being inside, but yeah, like when it's hot outside, and especially right now, if we don't know, we're in Houston, and it's the summertime, so it's hot. So yeah, during the really hot times of the day, he's usually inside. But yeah, man, sidetracked with that little detail. But let's get back to fast forward to the paramedics. All right, tell them that the paramedics really didn't do much, man. They checked his pulse to check if he was stiffening up. Man, at this time he was already he already was losing color, man. He was like pale. And so yeah, man, paramedics said, yeah, it's pretty much nothing we could do. And by this time, like a police officer has arrived at the house. The police officer told me basically told me to first thing he told me was I'm gonna need you to step away from the body, and I'm gonna need you to come over here. And he basically took me out of the room and then basically put me in the living room. And yeah, man, for a little while I was prime suspect number one. Drilling me with all these questions, and yeah, man, you got a little literal like interrogation of me, and then I had to run down the whole situation again. And yeah, so it was basically, it was the whole thing was, it was weird, man. It was just the whole thing, man, the whole thing's weird. The whole thing was weird, but yeah, man. During the whole questioning of me, the paramedics, basically tell the officer that they were leaving. Forgotten a little detail. Yeah, so the paramedics basically told me, nothing they could do, and just by what they see looking at him, that he was probably dead for like an hour. So yeah, man. So that puts him dying around maybe like 8 o'clock. Their estimates. I had just talked to him at 5 o'clock. Just saw him at 5 o'clock. So yeah, man. Strange little window between, when I saw him and, when I found him dead. And yeah, it was weird, but and this is just what's, to me, I always feel like my time is different from other people's time. Like my time is like 4 times faster than everybody else's time. Like in between those 4 hours, man, those 4 hours went so quick to me. They flew by so fast. Like, okay, I saw him, I talked to him, I left his house. What I did, I came back to my house, made me some food, had dinner. I was doing some work, finished up some work. All right. It's like 8:30ish. Like, oh man, I took a shower, finished with the shower, or it was probably like 8:45. I don't know, whatever. But took a shower. All right, got dressed. By that time it's 9:10, and then all right, it's time to go pick up mom. So I walked over, and yeah, man. I mean, those hours, just flew by, and I think about, maybe if I, went outside and, just, checked on him again, maybe I could have, couldn't gotten there earlier. Maybe I could have saved him. Think about that, man. I think about the craziness, that just that reflecting back on that whole situation, man. To this point, I'm telling you, from the day he died, July 29th to now, which is August 21st, man, it's feel like it's been that day, like ever since then, everything's been like everything feels like it's so far away, like time wise. I was like, man, that it happened like like well, no, it's not so far away, man. It feels like everything's just been like one like chaotic storm basically. And yeah, man, I'm finally, you know, getting a little time to you know, come down from that chaos. Yeah, man, but yeah, so here we go, jumping back. All right, back to the police officer story, which I never finished. All right, questioned me like, okay, blah blah blah. Well, another thing I found weird was like, all right, you know, I was expecting like for like the paramedics to take the body. That's not how it happens, which I found weird. Yeah, so while we're talking with while talking to the police officer, officer's like, all right, I'm gonna need you to get like I'm gonna need you to I'm gonna need you to call a funeral home. Like, I was like, all right, you know, I wasn't expecting, you know, to get hit with that like so fast. You know, I was like, you know, this whole thing had, you know, from like doing getting there in 9:10, doing the CPR for 20 minutes, then the paramedics arrive, then talking then the police officer arrives this whole time, and then, you know, I'm just, you know, there just dealing with all the questions. I'm just answering all the questions they have basically, and, you know, following through, you know, what they ask me. So and then basically, you know, the paramedics asking me questions, police officer asking me another questions, and, you know, I'm bouncing back and forth and stuff. And yeah, yeah, man, it's that whole thing, you know, uh you know, I was just basically, I was just in, you know, like, you know, basically in, you know, like I said, like I was just like on auto, basically, man. I was just going. I know things had to get done, and I was just doing them. So, yeah, it was strange. Can't even explain it, man. Yeah, so the funeral home thing was felt like kind of quick to me. You know, I never had, you know, we never had, you know, we didn't plan for it to the extent, but it was more because, you know, my dad didn't want to plan for it. You know, my mom had been wanting for a while. She's been wanting for a while, and, you know, but like, he was like, he didn't want to, and he just put it off. But all right, man. So yeah, so I called the funeral home. The funeral home is actually who picks up the body and takes the body. And yeah, man. So once, so by this time, oh, I forgot to mention, you know, I did call my mom once the paramedics got there, and then they were, taking over. I told her basically, I called her, she didn't pick up. She texted me back, told me she was in a meeting. I told her that she was gonna have to look for a ride. Basically, I told her, "Hey, look for a ride." And then she was like, "Okay." She texted me back. She's like, "All right." She's like, "What happened?" I was like, I didn't want to tell her in a text. So, and I didn't want her to start freaking out while she was still at work. So I just told her that something had happened to Dad. That's all I said. I didn't want to tell her that, she had died. That he had died. I'm sorry. But yeah, it was just felt like it wasn't right to tell her in a text and to tell her like that. And I thought it would just be easier on her. To kind of put it off until a little later. I think by that time that the paramedics had got there, I don't even think they told. Had they told me that there was nothing they could do? No, I don't think they had. Maybe I'm not sure. I don't remember. So I don't know if at the time I had told. I think this was still going on. I think the paramedics were still asking me questions, and it was kind of quick. I do remember when I was texting my mom back, telling her this stuff, my hands were shaking. That was one thing I remember. My hands were shaking a little. I was like, they were shaking a little. I noticed that. But yeah, so by the time the officer told me to get in contact with the funeral home, it was about that time that my mom got home. Or yeah, it was around that time when my mom got home. Was it? I don't remember. But yeah, it was so I had to tell her, and that started a whole mess. Let's just say it's been extremely hard on my mom. My dad dying has been extremely hard on my mom. So yeah, called the funeral home. Told them, they asked me if we have arrangements. Told them no. Like, okay. But I was like, police officer told me. They talked to the police officer. We're on the phone for a little while. Like, all right, cool. That they're gonna send some people over. Yeah, man, that turns into probably. All right, my mom getting home, me calling to the funeral home, all that was happening like simultaneously. And then I was like, oh man, I gotta let my brothers know. And then so but I was still dealing with all the police and all this other stuff. But I got a little break, and then I was like, all right, I'll text them, because by this time it was probably like 10:30. Yeah, by this time it was probably around like 10:30. Yeah, man. So all that was happening. So ended up having to wait for like about an hour and a half till the funeral home got there. And during this whole time, well, there was one police officer there, and he waited until the funeral home got there. Once the funeral home got there, there was another police officer that had come, and he basically kind of took over, and then he left. And then yeah, man, so in between that, now it's probably like 12 o'clock. It's probably later. Yeah, it was probably a little later than 12 o'clock by the time that they arrived. And yeah, man, it was I had texted my brothers, my brother Alex, he called me back, and he was like, wait, where you at? And he was like, I'm at the house. He was like, all right, I'm coming over. All right, so he came over. My other brother, Adrian's in Dallas. I texted him. Basically, all I was doing is trying to keep the situation under control, and then into the sense where I knew that everybody else was gonna be hard on everybody else. Basically, I was like the one kind of dealing with the whole situation, and dealing with the police officers, and dealing with the paramedics, dealing with the funeral home. So and trying to console my mom once she got there. And yeah, man, and luckily, once my brother Alex got here, then he was able to kind of be there with my mom, so I was dealing with the police officer and all the questions and all the stuff, and able to deal with like the funeral once I got there, and dealing with their paperwork, which it's like I was like all that was I was just taking at it, step by step, basically just going at it like, all right, just going, like, okay, whatever, they were telling me, I was, okay, I'll do this, I'll do that, and I'll just going along, basically. This whole process was new. I was just, yeah, man, that process was new to me. So yeah, it was more like, me just keeping it all together, and then just, making sure, like, yeah, everything's taken care of and stuff like that. So, yeah, brother gets there, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, like, mom, blah, blah, blah. I don't know, but it's like, it isn't, once the funeral home gets there, I'm like, all right, I don't know how this works, but, they take the body, and I'm like, all right, I had to sign some forms, but and they did ask me like, you thinking about burial or cremation? I was like, man, I don't know, man. We haven't talked about this, and then in my mind, I was like, well, kind of all depends too, because price was going to be an issue. I was like, price is a consideration too in this whole process too, and I didn't know the prices about things, and so I was like, all right. Luckily, that day, that night, it was just more of just signing a paperwork for them, allowing them to take the body away from the house. I didn't sign anything about, money wise or decide right then, what we're going to do about cremation or burial, about the funeral and the arrangements and stuff like that. But so what actually happens is you sign a form, they release the body, and then I guess since it happened at night, they're like, all right, here's my thinking. I'm not 100% sure about this, but I'm thinking because it happened at night, they're like, all right, the funeral home's going to call you in the morning, and then they're going to give you your options. I'm like, all right, cool. So that's what happens. And then, it wasn't until like 1:00, until after they took the body. And, yeah, man, I just remember, this is like way past my bedtime. I'm in bed 11:00 every day. Now probably earlier than that, 10:00. So yeah, and by that time, I'm always, like mentally and physically exhausted. So yeah, man, it's 1:00. I'm tired. I already have problems sleeping as it is, man. I don't get to sleep as it is, and so I'm staying up later and stuff like that. It was just like, all right, cool, but at the same time, my mom's taking it pretty bad, and luckily my brother's there, and so like after the funeral home takes my body away, we were at the house for a little while, and basically I was, had to run through it again of what exactly happened and how things happen and stuff like that. And then so yeah, man, basically let them know everything that was going on and let them know with the funeral home and stuff like that, what's going to happen, and talk to them. My mom was in bad shape though, so luckily my brother was there, and I was like, look, man, I asked him, I was like, can you spend the night? Because I didn't want my mom to be there alone at the house. And then how I am, I was like, I I need my own bed. I was like, I can't sleep in like just any bed. I already have hard enough trouble sleeping in my own bed. And then so I was like, I was gonna go to my house to sleep. So I asked him, I was like, hey, can you spend the night? And he's like, yeah, man. So yeah, so once my brother said he was gonna be able to spend the night, watch after mom, then I was like, all right, cool, man. Well, I'm exhausted, I'm tired. I was like, I need to sleep I need to try to sleep for at least a couple hours. And so yeah, the next morning, funeral home calls me. They let me know like the breakdown of the prices. And yeah, man, funerals are expensive. So yeah, and the one I was dealing with, first thing that, the funeral home, I live not too far from the funeral home. So the funeral home I called was like the one, right close to me. So, yeah, man, they came with me, they told me the prices, and like, all right, man, this is, they're giving me options and showing me packages. They sent me like over the packages. So I was like, all right, basically the cheapest option is $4,000. I was like, 4,000 seems like a lot for like like the cheapest option, the absolute cheapest option, which would have been cremation. I was like, man, so what I did is got on Google, searched around, found another funeral home, saw that they had good ratings, checked their website, had a pretty good website, and gave them a call. And I had given them, especially once I saw that, on their website, they listed they had some prices on there, and then one of the prices was cremations was $1,300. It was $1,295. I was like, all right. I mean, that's like $3,000 less than what the Brookside had quoted me. The other funeral home had quoted me. So let me give them a call. Called them. I was like, all right, talk to them. Sounded good. I was like, all right, well, like, let them know that right now another funeral home had my dad, but I like their prices a lot better. And then by this time, I was like, all right, cool. Once I had the options, like, all right, cool. I was like, all right. I knew what I wanted to do, but I was like, this is a family decision. So I went over and, basically, laid everything out for my mom and my brother, and told them everything, and we decided, and basically we decided on a cremation, man. And I mean, the like a burial was looking, I think they had quoted me like 20,000 for a burial, and I was like, yeah, I'm not paying that much. No way am I paying 20,000 for a funeral. So yeah, man. We went with the other funeral home that I looked up, which was Morales Funeral Homes here in Houston. And yeah, man, we went with the cremation. What ends up happening is that like I called back Brookside, and because I knew I was gonna have to pay them something, because they took the body. And then so I called them back. I'm like, all right, look, if we don't do anything and I decide to go with a different funeral home, I was like, how much do I owe you? and they were like, all right, you would have to pay $250. I was like, all right, cool. And then so I was like, all right, I'm gonna do that. And then so we went with the Morales, which was the $12.95. Then I paid $250 more because Brookside was the one that got him. Came to pick him up that night, and then so that was that. But yeah, man. Ever since that process, ever since the day he died, it's just been like a crazy, nonstop, me just taking care of everything, and it's it was yeah, it just it reminded me of when I just look at the time right now. I wanted this to be a shorter episode, get through it, but it's just been so long or whatever. But yeah, man, it just reminded me of the time where I was 11, man, and it was the summer in between 5th and 6th grade for me. And that day, that summer, my dad had a heat stroke. He suffered a stroke, here in my house. It was at this time, my mom was at work, and it was just my brothers, me and my two brothers, and we were inside of the house. My dad was outside working, outside in the yard, working on some stuff. And then he comes in, man. He said he wasn't feeling good, and he ends up, saying that he has some pain in his chest, man, and he ends up like collapsing onto the ground, man. And I remember being like not knowing what the hell we're gonna do, like what to do. I was like I was scared. I was, I had no clue, like I was freaking out. And then, like I was with my brother, what we do, telling my brothers what we do. And then like not knowing what to do, man, and just being like so scared, seeing my dad laying there on the ground in pain, and then just remember being like so scared, so frightened, so clueless, man. But yeah, man, once that happened, and like they took him to the hospital that summer, and then we had to like we got in contact, like we had to try to get a hold of my mom, and she was at work, and then trying to like me and my brothers trying to figure all this out, and just seeing like we were a mess. And once my mom got there, and she was a mess. And then just seeing everybody like in a mess, man. Like not knowing what to do, man. Uh, the paramedics told us they taken to the hospital. Like, all right, once my mom got there, we went to the hospital. Once we got there at the hospital, my mom was able to go see him. And I think that night, while we're at the hospital, I don't know if he had another stroke, but they were like, I don't remember, but they were like, we're transferring him to a different hospital. We're transferring him to the St. Luke's in the medical center. And then, so yeah, man, like the whole family's like, I'm watching like the whole family in mess, like not knowing what to do. And then like, this was like my mom she's never really drove that much, but I don't even think she had her license at the time, the summer that the stroke happened. But yeah, man, we were a mess, and then like we didn't even know what to do, and I think we wanted to go see him, but she was like, I don't know where it's at. And from that point on, I was like, this is when I realized, man, that everybody, like, everybody was a mess. Everybody was like panicking. Everybody was freaking out. That's when it clicked into my head that, like, all right, man, I got to keep this together. Like not because, I necessarily wanted to, but like, I knew that, I knew I had the ability to, like, I knew I could, keep it together, and then try to make sure everybody else was okay. And, basically try to calm everybody else down, and, basically, take control of the situation. And so, yeah, man, from that point on, I was like, man, I knew I had to step up. I was like, I knew I had to, be strong, even though I necessarily didn't want to be strong. But for the better of the family, that, I'll just, I'll take the pain, I'll try to keep it together, and just to make sure, that they're okay. And yeah, man, that just takes back to the memory of me, the family wanting to go see my dad, who was transferred to the other hospital, but my mom, not. I should have gave a warning that this was probably going to happen too. That you're probably going to see me cry on this episode. But yeah, man. So, man, I don't even care that y'all seeing me cry. But yeah, man. So that day, that night, that this was it was night, and it was, by the time he got transferred, it was night, and it was raining that night too. And I remember all this other stuff, and like, we're at the hospital. They're telling us, that they were going to transfer my dad to the other to St. Luke's, and that's all we knew, that they were going to transfer him. And like my mom wanted to go, we wanted to go. And then so I'm like, all right, well, this was a time, my mom didn't know how to get there, but this was a time, pre smartphones, pre Google Maps, pre what was it, MapQuest. It was a time pre all that. But luckily, I remember that in between jobs, my dad worked as a taxi driver, back in the day. And, back when taxis were a thing, pre-Uber and Lyft. And I remember that that they gave him a key map, basically a whole book of, like, it was a big, like, binder full of Houston where, it had, like, the streets. It was a map. It was like printed out big old map of Houston or whatever. And then I remembered, that he had this book, and then I knew where it was. And so I was like, Mom, I was like, I could get us there. And then so, I remember I was like, it was dark. It was at night, but I remember I was like, I'm pretty sure we could find it in the key map. I'm pretty sure the hospital was on there. And then, so I was like, all right. So I remember I went to go get the book. I remember where he had it. He had it in like a file cabinet in the shed. And then, so I got the book, and I remember I just sat there, and I memorized the way to get to the hospital from reading the map. And I just sat there, and I just went over it again, because I was like, all right, I wanted to make sure I knew how to get there, because I was like, it's dark, it's raining. Just because I knew that, it was going to be hard to look at the book and navigate, like, tell my mom where to go. So yeah, man. I memorized it. I navigated. I told my mom, which ways to go. We got there. We were able to see my dad. He ended up having to have, I think it was a double bypass surgery done. And yeah, man, but ever since then, like, I don't have a problem saying this, and I'm pretty sure, I know my family would back this up. I've been running my family since I was 11. I was like, I've been, yeah, man, I've been, I've kind of been like the the one in charge since then, man. And the one that's, trying to, in crazy switch situations, be the one that tries to keep it all together for everybody. you know. And so it didn't change, man. I did the same thing, in this time, man. And but I'm telling you, ever since that stroke my dad had, I knew, man, that I had to do. There was things I had to do that I, I didn't necessarily want to do, but I had to do just because I knew I could. And so yeah, man, I knew I could keep it together back then, and it's the same now, man. Yeah, but uh it was it's been a kind of crazy time, man, and it's just this yeah, man, I miss him. I miss my dad. I mean, it just had me reflecting back on everything, and then I was like, man, I could objectively say that. I mean, was he the best dad? Uh, you know, I don't even want to make that comparison. I could just say I know. Uh, everybody has their issues. But I know he tried his best, man. He tried the best he could do, man. And you know, I just yeah, man. It's just uh, man. I just uh you know, uh, I miss him. I love him. Uh, I know he did a lot, man, for his family and just making sure, we were taken care of. You know, my dad came to this country illegally. Uh, my dad never went to school. He had no formal education at all, man. Uh, he had a rough life growing up, man. I know the sacrifice he made and the stuff he had to go through. Uh, one thing that I remember about is he never wanted me to speak Spanish around the house, man. Never wanted me to speak Spanish around the house because he didn't want me to speak English with an accent. Uh, because my dad went through a bunch of racism uh, and discrimination because he spoke English with an accent. because he was Hispanic, he got, he didn't want me to go through the same things, that he went through as a child, and he went through growing up, and he went through, what he experienced, in this country. So, and then back then, it was different times. Now, even today, we're still dealing with racism and discrimination today, man. But it was different back then, and it was harder back then. So even just like decisions like that, man, where would I like to, like, my Spanish now, it's absolute trash, garbage. I actually think that, it's like that part of my brain has been like walled off the Spanish side. I still understand Spanish completely, 100%. Just speaking it is so hard for me now, man. I know the words, I just can't say them. It just doesn't come out. Like, but yeah, going back, like the decision, in of him getting mad when I would speak Spanish, and I getting yelled at. Looking back, I know why he did it, and I understand that. So, and he was just trying to do the best he could, man. He was just trying to do the best he could and try to save, the family, and save me from, save us some pain. And yeah, man. And if just looking back, I knew he loved me. He knew I loved him. And what gives me a little solace in this whole thing is that just reflecting back, is that I know that he was proud that of the person that I've become, the man I've become. So man, I'm glad that he at least got to see that. And I know he'd be a little I know he would have liked to see some grandkids, meet his grandkids. He never got an opportunity to do that. I would have liked to have seen him be able to see him play around with some grandchildren, but yeah, it makes me feel okay, that, I still, I know that he was proud of who I become, that he got able to chance to see what I, who I am. And yeah, man, I know, he knows that the family's in good hands, man. He knows, man. I'll continue to take care of Yeah, man. Well, I think, man, this has gone longer than I wanted to. Yeah, man, I just, yeah, this episode was really for my dad, though, man. It's for my dad, man. And, yeah, man, it was for him, man. Yeah, and he knows, man. He knows that, he knows, man. He knows, man. He knows I love him. He knows that. So yeah, man, this episode was for him. Pops. Love you, man.